today is Operations Wednesday. I am Jack.
And I am Luke.
And together, no. Yeah, last time we come up with some nicknames, and we've got there's some ones floating around, but maybe next time we'll come up with something for you. But today we're going to go into a little bit about the operations side. We've got Luke, the operations director here at JLC. And if you're new to the channel as well, to give you a brief insight, we're called JLC Distribution. We're an IT distributor based here in the UK. This is our HQ. This is where all the business happens, as well as where the majority of the business happens here in Bristol. And we've got everyone based here in the UK, and we've got an office in the Netherlands as well that's doing a bit as well. But today we're going to be talking about the operational side, what it takes to keep this ship afloat. Last time we were talking about a new role. We were liquidizing a new role. That's right, isn't it? I mean,
amalgamating.
Amalgamating sounds so much better. Yeah. We're amalgamating a role, and we're going to find out what happened there, and if there's any updates from you. So Luke.
Yeah, so operational updates this week, following on at the back of last week. So as I said, we're losing Benji.
It's a sad time.
Yeah, sad time, losing Benji. His last day with us is the 1st of November. So for the next month, it's important that we try and get everything out of his head that he knows, all his experience, and try and get it down on paper, on sheets, so the people that are training have like a plan to follow.
Yeah.
So some people have come up to me and said, "Oh, why are we pushing this training so hard when Benji's still here?" But it's actually crucial in my eyes that you push the training when the person's still here, because we kind of plan, we do the training as if he wasn't here, but he's there as like a backup if it like falls and we need him. So because we need to prepare for when he's not here. So I like the guys to pretend he's not here and he's just there as like an aid if needed. So we've been getting Arlene to do that. We've getting Abby to do that. And we're just, he's just there in the background, just supporting where needed, to try and get them up to scratch. So
because I remember like back in the day when the handover was always like 2 or 3 days before they actually left.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, so it was like, I mean, depending on what the role was, of course. But back when we were quite small, somebody was leaving. More often than not, it's either garden leave, and they work their duration, and it's like, okay, great, now we have to figure out how to do their role. So I guess it's like you said, you've got to try and get everything that they know onto either onto paper or on some form of like hard drive that we can pull from, and that also that the other guys know as well.
That's it. And if you push them now and say it doesn't work, he's here still, rather than just wait until the last minute.
Yeah,
he goes, and then they're like, oh, like what did he used to do for this? What do you do for that? So we're trying to like pick all the sort of blind spots out from now and just pick his brain for everything.
Yeah,
get it all down so we're a little bit more prepared when he does finally go. So he's given us a month's notice, so we're in a good position. But obviously it puts the guys under pressure, because if other people are taking on that role, that vacates another role. So everyone is literally like moving around. The pieces are moving a lot at the moment. So it's like putting a bit of pressure on the guys. But it's a good chance to see who can do what.
Okay. And how is it going then? How is it?
Going okay so far.
Yeah.
Been honest, yesterday was a tough day. We had a couple on holiday, and we had one sickness as well. So it was quite tough trying to juggle and see how we would sort of cover the other positions when, say, Arlene would have been on purchasing and Abby was actually on there yesterday. So we had to kind of, the people that we would normally cover the sickness with, they were off doing Benji's role. So it was a good test to see how we're going to survive without Benji here.
Yeah, how could we do it without Benji?
And tensions are running a little bit high.
Really?
But a few things were like missed here and there. But as I said, I'd rather see it in all its sort of downfalls now, so we can fix those.
All its impurities.
Impurities now, so we can fix it before he even goes, and then it'll be a smooth transition. But you've got to go through this to actually improve it.
You need to go through those kinks, don't you? And I'd rather have the kinks now whilst Benji's here. Because then at least Benji can explain and as to how to avoid those kinds of eventualities moving forward as well.
And to be fair, like whether it's a person leaving or you're bringing in a new process or you're bringing in a new bit of tech, you can plan it to death. But there will always be situations thrown up where one person's not in for a personal reason at home. You've got another person sick, and then before you know it, your plan has gone to pieces. So it's just that you try and get plan A, B, C in place as best you can. But you can never kind of account for every eventuality that's going to happen. But we are planned as best as we can be.
Yeah. It's I guess as well, we probably see it a lot more as a small business. It only takes a couple of us to be off for us to be quite a few people taking on the load of like quite a lot of individual roles. So at the moment we've got obviously Ricky out, we've got James and Beak out of the office. So upstairs at the moment, it's quite bare. So yeah, a lot of us have been taking on the roles that Ricky would have been looking at. We're bringing on new brands at the moment, so we're doing a lot of that at the moment. So it's good to have. It's good pressure testing, isn't it? To have a few people out of the office that actually we can work. Should they be out of the office for long periods of time as well?
Yeah, 100%. Because as you said, because it's a small business, it does actually have a ripple effect throughout the whole business. Because say Ricky, James, and Beak are off, I'm naturally going to be doing more towards say helping on Rick's kind of stuff.
Yeah.
In terms of like the people management. And then I've got say Cat off in the operation, so we've got all these changes going in, and like a big player in logistics off, so it's like both ends for me as well, trying to cover more on that, and then that obviously means I'm going to push more into Arlene, so it has a ripple effect. Even someone in sales or like directors, managing directors off, it ripples down through the whole company because everyone is like, it's like a domino effect all in terms of workload. So yeah.
But I think in time though, it will future-proof us to have the competent people around us that knows all the intricate areas of the business. Because I remember when I was fluctuating between the warehouse and sales, and then it made me like for a perfect salesperson. I say perfect salesperson, of course, got my flaws, but it kind of positioned me in a way that actually I know what the warehouse. I mean, I know what's in the warehouse, so I can sell it, right? And I take a lot of the delivery, so I know what it looks like straight away. I remember I was doing it yesterday with the tempered glass with the privacy screens. I'd never put on a privacy screen on my device, so it's like and I've sold thousands of those products before, but because we have a different department that does all the QC, the quality control, we don't really, as salespeople, don't get involved. So it's good to be involved in it.
And personally, for me, that'll help me to say it, but I like to turn the pressure up a little bit because you can really see what people are made of when the backs are against the walls and you're a little bit tighter. See the people you want to take to war with you.
Yeah.
Because if it was like level the whole time and it's all happy and you've got plenty of people, like you want to see like when the going gets tough, who can hold their head. I like that because everyone say, when they go off, oh, I'm worried what's going to happen. I thought, no, let's see how everyone gets on when you're off, because that's how I can judge.
Yeah.
And it's it can be a little bit painful sometimes, but you see it warts and all. That's what I like to see where the actual flaws lie.
Calm seas don't make for good sailors.
There you go. That's a great saying.
Yeah, wicked.
James says hello. It's good to see you both.
James, welcome, brother. How's Vegas? I know you're. When are they back actually?
Friday?
Yeah, maybe they can correct. Yeah, soon, right? I mean, yeah, James, we're still holding down the fort. It's good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. Have we got any other questions in the?
And Kelly says hello as well.
Of course, Kelly. Of course, we can always rely on Kelly. Who else?
Natalie says, "What do you think the major challenges facing operations are?"
All right.
I would say. I'd probably say it is probably at this level is more when we have say people off, and I said having people with the skill set to fill in when we've got people off, because as I said, in terms of like the operation and what we've got in place, like processes are pretty good. It's more the unknown factors. I said when people are off, you've got to try and keep the ship going, and so at end of month as well. Like if we've got people off, it's just trying to, as I said, prepare as best we can for those hard times. But I said you can only be so. You only have a plan B and C, and then for plan D to need to kick in. So just try and people turning up basically.
Yeah, the people. Yeah, I think you mentioned that before. Yeah, that's a great question, Joe. We had no internet actually yesterday when we came in. That was a bit.
Oh yeah,
that was a bit of a struggle.
That was an interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah, no internet. We're a technology company, with no internet. It was it was like Tether, wasn't it? Tether on the phones to our phone supplier, getting everything redirected.
Yeah, it was all right. It was only an hour in the end. We didn't.
It wasn't.
Caught back up in the end.
Yeah, it wasn't very long. And to be fair, if it's going to happen first thing in the morning, it needs to. Before the days began, So it's good. Any?
James said, he's back Friday, and the weather is beautiful.
James, the weather. That's good. That's good to hear. The weather's absolutely awful here, isn't it?
Yeah. It's shocking.
It is, and that's been Jack and Link with the weather. Now back to the studio.
Another question here.
Yep.
Natalie said, since you joined Luke, lots of people's roles seem to have evolved. And how did you find specific roles for different people?
Great question.
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think first of all, for me, it's get an understanding of where we were lacking. And I would say just off the top of my head, and even now I have to pull them away, is there's a lot of focus on just getting the orders out the door. And there's a heavy focus on how many we actually do. But from my point of view, there's a lot of things on the sort of peripheral that were kind of overlooked. So for example, Arthur was a regular warehouse operative, and he would just pick, pack, and he would be the go-to guy for like any stock queries. But I felt the need to evolve his role into an actual stock controller, because it's so important that we have everything, I said, located. We know what our stock levels are, because that just drives all queries and everything like that. So I think just bringing these niche roles in are like the main area, I would say. Just analysing where we actually are a little bit short and where we need a bit of focus. So I'd say, yeah, Arthur's a great example of that, from going from a warehouse operative to a promotion to a stock controller, because I felt the need that we really did need somebody just focused on that one area. And that will be the same as we branch out. There'll be new roles coming where I think, right, I need somebody with a bit more focus feeding me in that information, because previously I didn't have that, but now Arthur does a great role and I know exactly where we're at of our stock.
Yeah.
And I think when we get bigger, there'll be other little roles expanding where I'll need people to do like a niche job for me, branch off and then give me that information. So yeah.
I think Arthur's like a prime example of a problem solver.
Yeah.
Isn't he? Like, he's just come down like, right, okay, Arthur, where is something? He'll be able to tell you straight away. I'll bring him a product. He'll be like, what's this? He'll be like, oh, that's a so-and-so.
It's amazing.
His product knowledge is absolutely out as well. So yeah. And in this ever evolving business as well, it's always good to know somebody or have somebody on your team that knows all the products and stuff. Because even with the guys that are selling it as well, like I said, we don't know all the products that we deal with, because sometimes it's coming up to about 3,500, 4,000 pieces. So different lines as well. So we can't know all of the products. So I'm not saying maybe we should do like an Arthur special. Like, we should come up with like 5 random products and just see if Arthur knows them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That would be good. He will know everyone.
You would know, wouldn't he?
I actually did a test for the Packers once on the basic ones for them.
Time.
But yeah, Arthur, we should do like
a time to see how long he can do to like find it.
Yeah, he's amazing. And actually, another story about Arthur, when we first started going back to his stock controller job, when we didn't have the cables with proper locations. We'll show you our cable section at one time. He had to basically unpick everything, and the cables all look exactly the same for like the normal eye.
Yeah.
And he went in and literally did a location system for all of them. And he's like, I actually think him and maybe Barry, probably the only 2 people that would have been physically able to get us that, because no one else would have known what those products were. But now we've got that, we all know where they are located, we can tell. But that's a prime example of where Arthur is like really useful, because like I said, he's probably only 1 or 2 people that knew what all those cables were by just looking at them.
You're just looking at them. Yeah. And whenever I'm talking about cables on products on my little table over there, Arthur will like kind of gravitate and be like, oh, these cables are really good because they do this, this, and this, and this. I'm like, man, the floor is yours. The floor is yours. Yeah. So.
Well, we've got a question for both of you.
Yeah.
Do you think the relationship between sales and operations is important?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's an age-old war. Like, I know we've spoken about it before. Yeah. There's the constant wanting for stock. There's that constant, we need stock, otherwise we're not going to be able to sell. But there's also with you, it's like, well, we can't overstock because that's gonna have a negative impact on the business, right? So
100%. But I'm not just saying this. I worked with JLC, but I worked in other places in the past where was at war with sales, because they were literally promised the world and it was unachievable. Here, sales do work really well with operations, because everybody's really respectful of each other. If they're trying to offer something to the customer, they will always check with me first and say, right, can we do this? It might be a bit of a pain, but can we do it? And there's always that respect. So yeah, that's one thing. Like, not one salesperson has been disrespectful. They're always really respectful and working like close with operations. So yeah, that's one great thing about JLC. Another great thing about JLC.
I think it's important as well, because sometimes in businesses it's really easy for the sales to like almost run the business, because everyone's like, oh, okay, let's invest more in sales because sales bring us money. Money is great. Money is good. Money is good for the business. But I think having like a top heavy sales environment, I think, can be quite, because ultimately our decisions, I've never been make up sales, it has a trickle down effect. So if you get sales that are running the company that are like, that are making the calls in terms of stock, we would be in trouble. And I'm not throwing shade or anything like that. I mean, more often than not, I know what salespeople like. I've been one for the majority of my life. In and out of work, I'm always sales, and I'm like fireworks. I go off and sometimes I don't. We make impulse decisions sometimes, maybe not so calculated, and I think it's important to have that kind of good working relationship. Balance for sure, definitely, and I can definitely see the value in it as well. And there's times where we've shown restraint, and we've spoken to you as well, because in terms of a process kind of thing as well, it definitely adds value for us to be able to offer what to the customer, not just like, oh yeah, we can do it, yes we can do it, yes we can do it. It's all about how we're going to do it. If just yes, if that makes sense.
I think you definitely need a balance, and I think JLC, we've got a good balance, because you look at all the characters we've got, and you've got completely different people. Like, I think sales have to be very creative and off the cuff, and then you need boring people in ops like me who are by the book.
You're not boring, man.
To keep it in line, and it's a balance together. And yeah, as long as the communication's out, I think it balances each other quite well.
It's like the Force, isn't it? Like, you know, Star Wars, like
Yeah,
the Force. You always got like the Jedi's, and
You're
got like
the dark side.
I'm the dark, yeah, we're the dark side. Like, and always like an equal amount of Force. But yeah, definitely one, you can't have one without the other. Because I remember, yeah, in the early stages when we were, you know, when you came in, didn't you? And you saw what it was like, you know, just because we'd be getting deals in of like, right, well, you know, minimum order quantity is 1,000, and they want 750. We can make it work. We'll make it work.
Yeah.
And like we were really fighting to be a business, and at those times we were making those decisions because it was either that or we couldn't do it. And I think there's times as well where we've had to show restraint with the customers, and we've said no, we're unable to do it, and they've been respectful. It's just them always just chancing it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they'll always chance it. That is the thing. They'll always chance it.
They'll always chance it. But 9 times out of 10, I guess we've got to have a look at what our competitors are doing and what industry leaders are doing as well. They're doing a similar thing, otherwise wouldn't be a business. So
that's it.
Yeah, that's a good question there. Who's that from?
Natalie.
Oh, that's good. Natalie with the questions.
Natalie's got another great question. How does company culture affect work in a positive way?
I think having a good company culture, I think it just results in everyone wanting to help each other out. Like if you've got a bad company culture and they're not bothered about, say, helping their like teammate or their colleague, then everyone just becomes really selfish, and it just becomes really disjointed. If you've got a good company culture, I said, like here with a small business, we've got the good culture because people are willing to rotate positions and help each other out. So I said, if you didn't have that, then you'd probably have to run at a higher cost, because I'd probably have to bring in specified people for those roles rather than mixing and matching and covering off where I'm short. Because everyone's got such a great attitude and culture towards JLC, it's easier to have those conversations then. Can you do this for me this week? This person's off. Can you help me out? And yeah, like everyone's superb, that always willing to help. So yeah, I think that's why it's so important, because it allows flexibility.
Yeah, I think as well it's because we're kind of like a Goldilocks size at the moment. We're like 50 members of employees, right? Is that 50? Is it 50 or
50?
About 50. So for us to scale and to grow to where we need to be, we need to make sure we take that culture with us. We don't want it to get watered down. At the moment, it's good because obviously a lot of us have been working together for a long time. Like Luke said, we're able to kind of dip in and out of other roles to support one another. Certainly sales upstairs. I know that we work closely with the guys downstairs, and we've kind of already alluded to that anyway, that we've got that good relationship with logistics, and we've got that good relationship with warehouse as well. So I guess it's integral for all departments to have that good culture to be able to work well with one another. So good. But thanks for the question, Natalie, and firing them out.
On fire.
There's no other questions at the moment.
No other questions. Okay, that's fine. Well, is there anything else going on in that operation?
Just one update. So from last week, we have had a trial of a new Courier this week.
Okay.
Hasn't really worked out as we liked on that side of things. The main reason it's not really worked out is because this new Courier, they have a franchise model, and basically franchise drivers basically get paid per delivery stop. So say it's 250, for example.
Yeah.
They're not willing to wait for us when we have our order. So for example, this new collection, it's between 4 to 5. We get an hour window. If they turn up at 4 o'clock, they're not willing to wait for an hour because they only get paid for the one stop. They get paid 250 for an hour, and who's going to want to work 250 for an hour?
Yeah.
Whereas our current Courier, they follow the employed model, and they get paid for the hour. So if they turn up at 4:30, they're willing to wait half an hour because they know they're getting paid for the whole hour. So with the current Courier we've got, they provide us that flexibility. They're like, oh yeah, we'll hang on and wait. Whereas the new one we're trialing, even though it's cheaper, because they run this franchise model, the driver comes at 4 o'clock, he's going to wait for 2 minutes and he's gone. So then we lose an hour of packing and picking to try and get more orders out. So the lack of flexibility from this new one is unfortunately looking like it's going to be this sticking point for us.
Isn't that just an excellent demonstration? And when we're talking about scaling a business, we're talking about taking that culture with us. We're taking about not liquidating the bigger that we get. Isn't that just a great example of when you get to a certain size, and we're not obviously naming names, but when you get to a certain size and you franchise the business, obviously you're at a size where you can franchise business, then you lose that company, you lose that value, ultimately losing that level of service that you would have taken had you not have franchised that business. When you franchise a business, it's important to uphold the company culture. I bet you any money that company that we're working with, I'm desperately trying not to say that. Courier, that I bet you any money that's not something they would uphold had it not been franchised.
100%, yeah. But because they're more
trying to-
corporate, this company,
Yeah.
they're trying to cut their costs, and it's a cheaper
Yeah.
business model to franchise because it's way cheaper to
Yeah.
collect and deliver. But ultimately, in this situation, the more expensive
The bigger you get,
person
you
with
just-
with that customer
you
service,
disconnect from your customer base.
yeah, and,
Yeah.
and we love those drivers as well. So I said the only reason we were doing the trial was to look at the cost, but I said their attitude. The guy coming the first day, oh, I'm not waiting here till 5. I'm only waiting 2 minutes.
Gone.
Straight away. Oh, lovely relationship.
Because there's no, because obviously, because what they do is obviously they've got the is it what kind of, is it like a what, franchise contract you said?
franchise, yeah.
So does that mean that it's like a 0 hours contract, or is
Yeah,
that
it would be 0 hours.
0 hour? Okay, so like,
they're self-employed.
so it's complete. Yeah, so it's like the Uber drivers, isn't it? So
Yeah.
like they all work for themselves, but time is money for them, which kind of makes sense. You can't hold it against them because they want to get the most out of their hour, but as a result, it's come off there now that their customer service now is going to lose them a potential customer. And we're not saying we're going to they're going to retire off our business, but we're still ultimately, I mean, we're still an SME. We're still like a good operating business in this area.
And there is what I said. I spoke to our account manager, who, again, this actually goes back to what we were saying earlier about sales promising the world. He came in and had a meeting with me and told me we will give you someone at 5. They will wait till 5, and then operations have said,
No.
yeah,
There we go. There we go. It happens everywhere.
That is a prime example of sales over promising, not communicating with operations correctly, and they've just probably wasted our time. But I have gone back to the account manager and said, if you can get us an employed driver, because I know they're willing to wait because they're paid by the hour, we might consider staying with you. And everyone wants our stuff because it's nice and easy to handle. It's quite lightweight, and that's what Courier companies like, not heavy, awkward stuff.
Yeah.
So we are quite desirable in that. So we got a lot of pulling power.
Customer retention is it costs a lot more than getting on new customers. So I expect, given the chance, I expect they'll probably take that because for them it costs less to retain you as a customer than to bring on new customers. So I mean, look, we had to go through it, but I mean, it's good that and that's funny that we've gone full circle. So a salesperson promised you the world. We sometimes do, not us, but I hear about it, and the logistics have said no. Yeah, and that's the
moral of the story.
That's the conflict. That is the conflict that we see in these businesses, and no matter what the size, you see it happen.
Yeah,
and they get so big that they franchise and they become, in their attempt to be bigger, but they lose the very essence which made them good in the first place. Have you ever seen McDonald's? Have you ever seen a founder?
No, what's that?
The founder, the story of the guy that, the McDonald's brothers.
Oh yeah,
the guy that franchised.
Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah,
so the guy that franchised it, he was doing exactly the same. So he wanted to so he was like, oh, we want to powdered ice cream, and the McDonald's brothers was like, no, you can't do that. They messed with the recipe, you know. And he was like, no, we'll save much less than the refrigeration costs. It totally makes sense, but they didn't want to lose that very essence that made them so good in the first place.
Yeah.
It's a great story, great film as well.
Yeah,
it's definitely one because they obviously want to get so big and want to, scale and you want to be a huge entity, but
unfortunately the small guys did lose out in that film, and the big guys and the franchise did take over the world. So
they did.
There could be something in that as well.
They did, but it's because they own the land.
The land, yeah. So there's another way around.
Looking at all this wrong. You're not in the restaurant business. You're in the
property, land.
So maybe it does work. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But there's little stories like that. What we just said. This is from the front line. This is your customer, potential customer.
Yeah.
That is your honest feedback. You were promised something, they didn't deliver because they've outsourced their work from franchise and 0 contracts, and they're unable to uphold their unique selling point. So it's not working. So.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Straight from operations. Have you got any more questions?
No more questions, no.
How many minutes are we on?
We're on 24 minutes.
24 minutes. I mean, I'm right with that. Are you?
Not bad yet. You got a call to go to?
Yeah. All right. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yeah. Let's get you out. Guys, thank you so much. And tomorrow, I think it's Random Thursday. Is that right?
It is, yeah.
Random
Natalie
Thursday.
will be filming tomorrow.
Natalie's going to be filming. We're going to be Random Thursday. I'll come up with something. I'm sure we will. And until then, I will see you tomorrow at 1 p.m.